Howdy, this is Hudson Hank, coming to you live after a humongous hiatus. Because old Hank left y'all in the lurch, I decided I'd do more today than just complain and give my fans a giant migraine. This Tuesday, being the second week of Spooky Month, I figured it was as good time as ever to impart my time-tested pumpkin carving talents on the second greatest valley on earth. Now any jackass with a fifth of jack and a jackknife can slice up a nice jack-o'-lantern, but it takes a steady hand and a superhuman ability to stay seated and sedated long enough to produce a presidential pumpkin. That's why today we'll be carving Honest Abe's hatless head into this here dead gourd. Well, that and because I couldn't find a Ronnie Reagan stencil, so here we are. President Lincoln defeated the Confederacy and freed the slaves, which is cool. Certainly not as cool as trickle-down economics and being the spokesman for Chesterfield cigarettes cool, but it's something. To properly gore your gourd, you'll need tape, tacks, cooking spray, precision carving knives, something to scoop the shit out with, a few rags, and of course a surplus of the sauce. This is usually a 3-hour affair, and like the world's greatest trailer park supervisor said best, I'm sober enough to know what I'm doing, and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it. And that's exactly where old Hank likes to live. 10 to 12 drinks an hour is about right, so have at least 30 on hand for this to go to plan. The first step is to wash the dirt off your pumpkin. Use cool water and a little elbow grease. Now I know my fan base isn't going to pay for fruit, and frankly I'm not either, so just contain your pumpkin pilfering to local patches. The next step is to hollow out the pumpkin. I like to cut out the bottom instead of the top so the pumpkin doesn't collapse onto itself when it withers and eventually dies, like everything we know and love. Cut a stop sign pattern into the ass end of the pumpkin and pull out this portion. Trim the attached gook so it's a flat place for the candle, and scoop the remainder of the pulp. Be sure to get all of it and scrape down the walls, especially the side you'll be cutting on, so it's easier to poke your blade through. Once your pumpkin is fully dry, it's time to affix your stencil. Now pumpkins are like people, they all got a shitty side that you might not initially see, but it's there. Just choose a side that is the smoothest and slap it on as flat as you can. Now for the part you have been waiting for since you first laid eyes on your gorgeous glistening gourd. Jab your prick in and out of the flesh of the pumpkin along the bold black lines as close together as possible. You don't have to go very deep, and if your prick is anything like old Hank's, you won't even be able to. Once every line is properly pricked, peel off the paper and begin connecting the dots with the smallest blade you have. Be sure not to apply too much pressure and allow the knife to do the work for you. Keep the stencil handy so you can see exactly where you fucked up. Once you are completely done carving, wipe down the pumpkin carefully and check your lines to make sure they're neat. Take your cooking spray and coat the freshly carved portion and the interior of the pumpkin. This locks in moisture and slows the deterioration process. If your pumpkin does decide to shrivel up immediately, simply place in a cool water bath for a few hours. Be sure to add a splash of bleach to the water so the pumpkin does not become moldy. Time to slap a candle in this sumbitch and display it for all to see. If you happen to live in an area populated with John Wilkes Booth fanatics, old Hank suggests carving up an Andrew Johnson pumpkin as a backup. This has been Hudson Hank. You can take it to the bank. Sleep peaceful, sweet valley of mine.